Today, I'm going to be using ChatGPT to help me beat the most popular Terraria mod, Calamity. I got this idea from another Terraria YouTuber called I Like Cheese, and if you haven't already, you should go watch their playthrough, it's really good. Now, the mods I'm going to be using for this playthrough are Calamity, Calamity Music, Calamity Extra Music, Calamity Lost Themes, Magic Storage, Boss Checklist, Recipe Browser, and Ore Excavator. Now, I thought it would be fair to let ChatGPT name our character and world, and it gave us a list of 10 names, all looking like they came straight out of a fantasy name generator, but I just wanted one name, so I rephrased. I guess for the rest of our playthrough we're Sylvan Mistwood, alright? Oh, and for the world name, it gave me Celestial Haven. I also let it decide the world size and evil, but it just told me what the options did. ChatGPT seems really opposed to making actual decisions, but eventually it settled on a large corruption world. Not my usual choice, but it's fun to branch out. Once I got the world running, I immediately asked ChatGPT what I should do. It advised me to get some basic shelter, mine stuff, make gear, pretty solid advice, though it did tell me to get light fruit, which is literally impossible right now. I immediately activated Revengeance mode. This is going to be an expert mode Revengeance playthrough, by the way. I followed ChatGPT's advice, got some wood, and then built some housing. After that, I smelted my ores, made a name with this hook, and some basic armor. After letting ChatGPT know I had made some basic gear, I asked what boss I should fight first, making sure to include the fact I was playing with the Calamity mod. ChatGPT advised me to fight the Desert Scourge. I was worried that ChatGPT wouldn't know the intended Calamity progression, or worse, not know anything about the mod, but I was impressed. I was considerably less impressed at what equipment it recommended for the fight. Apparently the Cactus Sword and the Enchanted Sword are of equal power for the fight. Yep, the numbers check out. Additionally, it recommended I use Cactus Armor, even though I already had Lead Armor. Maybe the Desert Scourge has a cactus allergy? That'd be pretty weird considering it lives in the desert. One of the more sane recommendations it offered was the revolver. The revolver is the gun you can buy from the traveling merchant after breaking either a shadow orb or a crimson heart. And hey, I have bombs, and you just have to break one orb, so that means I don't have to fight any bosses, so it's perfect, right? Well, it's a little more complicated. You see, the revolver is sold by the traveling merchant. The traveling merchant has a 22% chance to show up each day. His inventory is random every time he spawns, and certain items are rarer to appear with others. The revolver just so happens to be a rare item. I had no idea, but getting the revolver would be a lot more painful than I would have thought. But before I focused on the revolver, I had to get Hermes boots, another item recommended by ChatGPT. The Calamity mod actually adds in a recipe for Hermes boots. I just need silk and swiftness potions. To get silk, I need a loom. To get a loom, I need a sawmill. I did all of that, and now I just need to get the potions. The swiftness potion required a blink root. I didn't have any and didn't want to bother looking in the caves for one. Luckily, I knew a place where you could get them fast. In the sky, there's a giant lab inside of a planetoid, and inside of the lab are a bunch of herb bags. My next priority was to get the revolver, and after a few deaths I had finally managed to make it down to the bottom of the corruption. But I had forgotten to bring bombs with me, so I couldn't actually get to the Shadow Orb. After several failures, I was finally able to get the Shadow Orb, and it dropped a musket, which I can't use because ChatGPT didn't tell me to use it. But now that I'd broken the Shadow Orb, all I had to do was wait for the traveling merchant to spawn. Should be easy, right? I made a bed in the sky to help speed up time because sleeping makes time go 4 times faster, but even that didn't help that much. After waiting real life hours, I ended up just using another mod to spawn in the traveling merchant, but he still didn't have the revolver, so I just spawned in the revolver itself. In hindsight, I probably should have just used Fargo's mutant mod, which lets you craft the revolver, but it was time to fight the Scourge. Though there was one last thing. ChatGPT mentioned you need an item called a Sandstorm Approaches to summon the Scourge. This was incorrect, but I'd asked how to get it anyways. It then told me I needed an item called the Abomination, which was not true, and I needed Essence of Chaos, which is not even a thing. After accepting that ChatGPT wouldn't give me a correct answer, I gathered the Stormlion mandibles I would need for the medallion. I even ended up getting a Stormlion staff, so I could summon a baby Stormlion to help me fight. After getting the desert medallion and setting up the arena, I figured it was time for the fight. My first attempt didn't go very well. The cactus armor ChatGPT recommended had terrible defense, but to be fair, it was my first attempt. I didn't even have any buff potions. But even with the buff potions, it still wasn't going very well, so enjoy a montage of my deaths. The whole cactus armor thing wasn't really working for me, so I asked ChatGPT to elaborate on why it was so good. Maybe there was something I was missing? It was right about being easy to obtain and the thorns effect, but cactus armor does not provide ranged projectile protection. I asked for a potential upgrade for my current armor, and it suggested cactus armor. Thanks, ChatGPT. I rephrased that I wanted to upgrade from cactus armor to something better. It then suggested lead armor, which is weird because when I mentioned I had lead armor, it suggested I would switch to cactus, but now it treats lead as an upgrade from cactus. In any case, I was glad to finally use some decent armor. After finally getting some decent armor, I was able to beat the Desert Scourge. Without further ado, here is my winning attempt. So, I think that's going to be the end of our first episode of ChatGPT Terraria. I'll see you guys next time for more AI-powered Calamity.